You guys know what it is. It's your boys up 013 YT with this spooky scary Saturday. Yes, another spooky scary Saturday for the channel. Yes, and today we're gonna do another creepypasta on the same page as Creepypasta Wiki. Yes, for today's creepypasta is Jeff the Killer. Jeff the Killer, the guy who has a white face and he just cut his mouth right open like that and starts killing people for no reason at all. So yeah. So without further ado, let's get into it because I don't have enough time because I have to eat shortly. So yeah, let's go. Jeff the Killer. Ex Excerpt from a local newspaper. Ominous unknown killer is still at large. Okay. After weeks of unexplained murders, the ominous unknown killer is still on the rise after little evidence has been found. A young boy states that he survived one of the killer's attacks and barely tells his story. "I had a bad dream and I woke up in the middle of the night," says the boy. I saw that for some reason the window was open, even though I remember it being closed before. I went to bed. I got up and shut it once more. Afterwards, I simply crawled remember it being closed before I went to bed. Oh wait, sorry. I crawled under my covers and I tried to get back to sleep. That's when I had a strange feeling like someone was watching me. I looked up and I literally jumped out of my bed. There, in the little ray of light escaping between my curtains, were a pair of two eyes. They weren't regular eyes. They were dark, ominous eyes. They were bordered with black, and they just plain terrified me. That's when I saw his mouth, a long, horrendous a smile that made every hair on my body stand up. The figure stood up, watching me. Finally, after what seemed like forever, he said it, a simple phrase, but it was, but, but said in a way only a madman could speak. He said, "Go to sleep." I laid out a scream, and that's what sent him at me. He pulled up a knife, aiming at my heart. He jumped up. He jumped on top of my bed. I fought him back. I kicked. I punched. I rolled around, trying to knock him off me. That's when my dad busted in. The man threw a knife at it. The man threw the knife, and it went into my dad's shoulder. The man probably should have him off if one of the neighbors hadn't alerted the police. They drove into the parking lot and ran towards the door. The man turned and ran down the hallway. I heard a smash like glass breaking. As I came out of my room, I saw the window that was pointing towards the back of my house was broken. I looked out of it. I looked out of it to see his to see him vanishing into the distance. I can tell you one thing. I will never forget that face. Those cold eyes, those cold evil eyes, those cold sorry, those cold evil eyes and that psychotic smile. They will never leave my mind. Police are still on the look for this man. If you see anyone that fits the description of the story, please contact your local police department. Jeff and his family have just moved into a neighborhood. His dad had gotten promotion at work, and they thought it would be best to live in one of those fancy neighborhoods. Jeff and his brother Liu couldn't complain couldn't complain though. I knew better. I knew better house what was not to love. As they were getting unpacked, one of their neighbors came by. "Hello," she said. "I am Barbara. I live across the street from you." Well, I just wanted to introduce myself to my son. I just wanted to introduce myself and to introduce my son. Okay. She turns around and calls her son over. "Billy, these are our new neighbors." Billy said hi and ran back to his yard. "Well, I'm Margaret," said Jeff's mom, "and this is my husband Peter, and my two sons, Jeff and Leo." They each introduced themselves, and then Barbara invited them to her son's birthday. Jeff and his brother were about to up to object when the mother said that they would love to. When Jeff and his family are done packing, they went up to his mom. "Mom, why would you invite us to why would you invite us to some kid's party? If you haven't noticed, I'm not some dumb kid." "Jeff," his mom said, "we just moved here. We should show that we want to spend time with our neighbors. Now, we're going to the party." And that's final. Jeff started to talk, but stopped himself, knowing that he couldn't do anything. It seems like whenever his mom said something, it was final. He walked up to his room and plopped down on his bed. He sat there looking at the ceiling when suddenly he got a weird feeling. Not so much a pain, but a weird feeling. Yeah. He dismissed it as some random feeling. He heard his mother calling down to get his stuff, and he walked down to get it. One day, Jeff walked downstairs to get breakfast and got ready for school. As he sat there eating his breakfast, he once again got that feeling. This time it was stronger. It gave him a slight tugging pain, but he once again dismissed it. As he and Leo finished breakfast, they walked down to the bus stop. They sat there waiting for the bus, and then, all of a sudden, some kid on a skateboard jumped over them, only inches above their laps. They both jumped into it back in surprise. "Hey, what the hell?" The kid landed and turned back to them. He kicked his skateboard and caught it in his hand. The kid seemed to be about 12, 1 year younger than Jeff. He wears an Aeropostale shirt and ripped blue jeans. Well. It looks like we got some new meat." Suddenly, two kids appeared. One was super skinny and the other was huge. "Well, since you're new here, I'd like to introduce ourselves. Over there is Keith." Jeff and Leo looked over to the skinny kid. He had a dopey face that you could expect sidekicking that you would expect a sidekick to have. And he's Troy. Troy? Yeah, Troy. They looked over at the fat kid that talked about a tub of lard. Okay, I don't know what's a tub or lard. This kid looked like he hadn't exercised since he was crawling. "And I," said the first kid, "I'm Randy. Now, for all the kids in this neighborhood, there is a small prize for bus fare. If you catch my drift, Leo stood up, ready to punch the lights out of the kid's eyes, when one of his friends pulled a knife on him. I had hoped you would be more cooperative, but it seems we must do it the hard way." The kid walked up to Leo and took his wallet out of his pocket. Jeff got the feeling again. Now, it was truly strong. A burning sensation. He stood up, but Leo gestured him to sit down. Jeff ignored him and walked up to the kid. Listen here, you little punk. Give back my bro's wallet or else. Randy put the wallet in his pocket and pulled out his own knife. Oh, and what will you do? Just as he finished the sentence, Jeff popped the kids in the nose. As Randy reached for his face, Jeff grabbed the kid's wrist and broke it. Randy screamed and Jeff grabbed the knife from his hand. Troy and Keith rushed Jeff, but Jeff was too quick. He threw Randy to the ground. Keith lashed out at him, but Jeff ducked and stabbed him in the arm. Keith dropped his knife and fell to the ground screaming. Troy rushed to Troy rushed him to Troy rushed whatever that is. Troy rushed him to, but Jeff didn't even need the knife. He just punched Troy straight in the stomach and Troy went down. As he fell, he puked all over. Leo could do nothing but look in amazement at Jeff. Jeff, how do you... That's what all he said. They saw the bus coming and knew they'd be blamed for the whole thing, so they started running as fast as they could. As they ran, they looked back and saw the bus driver rushing over to Randy and the others. As Jeff and you made it to school, they didn't dare to tell what happened. All they did was sit and listen. Leo just thought of that as his brother beating up a few kids, but Jeff knew it was more. It was something scary. As he got that feeling, he felt more powerful. It felt how powerful it was. The urge to just hurt someone. He didn't like how it sounded, but he couldn't help feeling happy. He felt that strange feeling go away and stay away for the entire day of school, even as he walked home due to the whole thing near the bus stop, and how he probably wouldn't be taking the bus anymore. He felt happy. When he got home, his parents asked him how his day was. Um, how his day was, yes. And he said, in a somewhat ominous voice, "It was a wonderful day." Next morning, next morning, he heard a knock at his front door. He walked down and find two police officers at the door. His mother looking back at him with an angry look. "Jeff, these officers tell me that you have attacked 3 kids. That is wasn't regular fighting, and then they were stabbed. Stabbed, son." Jeff's case fell to the floor, that it showing his mother that it was true. "Mom, they were the ones who pulled out the knives on me and you." Son, said one of the cops, "we found 3 kids, 2 stabbed, one having a bruise on his stomach, and we have witnesses proving that you fled the scene. Now, what does that tell us?" Jeff knew it was no use. He could say he could he could say him wait he could say him yeah he could say him and Liu had been attacked, but then there was no proof. And then there was no proof it was not them who attacked first. They couldn't say that they weren't fleeing because, truth to be told, they were. So Jeff couldn't defend himself or Liu. "Son, call down your brother." Jeff couldn't do it, since it was him who beat up all the kids. "Sir, it was me. I was the one I was the one who beat up the kids. Leo tried to hold me back, but he couldn't stop me." The cop looked at his partner and they both nodded. "Well, kid, looks like a year in juvie." Wait, says Leo. They all looked up to see him holding a knife. The officers pulled their guns and locked them on Leo. It was me. I beat up the little punks. Have the mark have the marks to prove it. He lifted up his sleeve and revealed cuts and bruises, as if he was in a struggle. Son, just put down just put the knife down, said the officer. Leo held up the knife and dropped it in the ground. He he puts he put his hand up and walked over the cops. No, Leo. No, wait. Oh yeah. No, Leo. It was me. I did it. Jeff had tears running down his face. Huh? Poor bro. Trying to take the blame for what I did. Well, take me away. The police led Leo out to the patrol car. Oh man, I need some water. My throat is dry. There we go. That's better. Jeff. Wait. Yeah. Leo, tell them it was me. Tell them. I was the one who beat up those kids. Jeff's mother put her hands on his shoulders. Jeff, please. You don't have to lie. We know it's Leo. You can stop. Jeff Jeff watched helplessly as the cop's car sped off with Leo inside. A few minutes later, Jeff's dad pulled into the driveway, seeing Jeff's face and knowing something was wrong. Son, son, what is it? Jeff couldn't answer. His vocal cords were strained from crying. Instead, Jeff's mother walked his father inside to break the bad news to him, and Jeff wept in the driveway. After an hour or so, Jeff walked back into the house, seeing that his parents were both shocked, sad, and disappointed. He couldn't look at them. He couldn't see how they thought of Liu when it was his fault. He just wanted to sleep, trying to get the whole thing off his mind. 2 days went by with no word from Liu or JTC. No friends to hang out with, nothing but sadness and guilt until Saturday, when Jeff was woke up by his mother with a happy sunshiny face. Jeff, it's the day, she said as she opened up the curtains and let light flood into his room. What? What's today? Asked Jeff as he stirs awake. Why, it's Billy's birthday. He was now fully awake. Mom, you're joking, right? You you don't expect me to go to some kid's birthday party after there was a long pause. Jeff, we both know what happened. I think this party could be the thing that brightens up the past day. Now, get dressed. Jeff's mother walked out of the room and downstairs to get ready herself. He fought himself to get up. He picked up a random shirt and pair of jeans and walked down the stairs. He saw his mother and his father all dressed up. His mother in in a dress and his father in a suit. Well, though, why they would ever wear such fancy clothes to a kid's party? Son, is that all you're going to wear? Said Jeff's son. Better than wearing too much, he said. His mother pushed down the thing to yell at him and hid it with a smile. Now, Jeff, we may be overdressed, but this is how you go if you want to make an impression, said his father. Jeff grunted and he went back to his room. I don't have any fancy clothes, he yelled downstairs. Just just pick out something, called his mother. He looked around in his closet, what he would call fancy. He found a pair of black dress pants. He had a he had for special occasions, and an and an undershirt. He couldn't find a shirt to go with it though. He looked around and found only stripped and patterned shirts. No one which to go dressed with dress None of which to go with dress pants. Finally, he found a white hoodie and put it on. "You're wearing that?" they both said. His mother looked at her watch. "Oh no, time to change. We, let's just go," Let's just go, she said as she heard Jeff and his father out the door. They crossed the street over to Barbara and Billy's house. They knocked on the door as it appeared the Barbara, just like his parents, way overdressed. As they walked inside, all Jeff could see were adults, no kids. Well, guys, this we're halfway through the story. I am going to resume the story next Saturday. So thank you a lot, guys, for watching, and goodbye. Subscribe out.